Hello, welcome to the Crossroads Inn, a Game of Thrones reaction and explanation show. Today we will be discussing, I don't know, we explain what happened.
Explained anything. Okay, go.
No, we have. We talk about like implications based on things in the books.
Okay, that's true.
Today we will be discussing Season 7, Episode... What was this, 4?
5.
5? Episode 5, Eastwatch. I don't know. I'm not prepared at all for this show.
Quite tired. That's okay.
Yeah, pretty much. This will be discussing Eastwatch, which was an interesting episode. It aired last night on the 13th. So let's get right in. Today, my panel, I have the usuals, Chris and Cory.
Hello.
What's up?
And a very special guest. Welcome, Nick.
Lord Mitsos.
Need the
Lord Mitsos himself.
WWE intro.
What's the
Yeah.
WWE intro for you?
Yeah.
Cory, it's your job to come up with that.
For who gets the WWE intro?
For Nick.
In the bottom
Lord
right.
Mitsos.
You could get Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme music with the glass shattering.
I can accept that.
Okay. So, let's get right to it. Our initial thoughts on this episode. Cory, you're wrong about this episode, so why don't you just give us your initial thoughts first, and then we can tear you down.
Well, luckily, most people that watch Game of Thrones actually agree with me because they actually enjoy watching television and good TV. I think this was a fine episode. I don't see the complaints that you have with it, but we'll don't worry, we'll debate this all. But let me just actually go into my deep thoughts. Gendry's back. I'm very happy about that. Not only is Gendry back, some may call this a little fan servicey, but I don't agree. I think he was a badass. I think him fighting with his hammer was awesome. It was a great visual. I loved his interactions with Jon Snow, the two bastards of the two best friends that started the show. I thought that was all well done. I really, really, really like Jaime and Tyrion's meeting down in the basement. I thought that was very well done. I don't really have a lot of complaints about this episode. I thought it was really good. It kept all the momentum that we've seen from episodes 1 to 5 going, and it left with a really good cliffhanger leading into the next episode.
All right. Chris, how about you?
I've realized this was the episode where I realized like it kind of switched over from the like slow like thought out plot of like the first seasons into like fan service at the fan service. I'm just realizing that like I guess they kind of have to do it just because of how fast the season has to move. But it's just kind of like I've realized the show has shifted, but it's still entertaining to me. But we'll see how it goes. I'll explain later more what I mean.
Yeah. How about you, Nick? What were your initial thoughts on this episode?
Well, I didn't hate the entire episode. There was some cool stuff in it. Some stuff they did pretty well, but I think there's one thing that I think most people, just one plot point that they started, that I just think it is absolutely, I think it's absurd, and I think they introduced it very poorly, and I didn't think the dialogue was done very well, and that definitely took away from all the good spots, but we can definitely get into that as we discuss the episode part by part.
Yep. So for me, last week I spent basically the entire episode discussing how, wow, episode 4 got us back on track. I really didn't like episode 3, but the spoils of war, that episode got us back on track. We were fighting in the right direction. There was some really cool things. We got to see dragons and Dothraki fighting, and everything seemed really good. And then we got this episode, and we are right back to all the problems that I had back during the Queen's Justice, and really throughout this entirety of this book. I think this episode was kind of a mess. There were some cool points, and yes, it was still entertaining. It was still good. Game of Thrones is still very well made, and I'm not gonna, I might be negative, and I'm not here to say, oh, this was a 2, this was a terrible episode or anything. But this episode had a lot of problems, and I think that it really has, I think Chris hit it on the head, like it just seems like they've really shifted what they're trying to do with this story. And as we've gotten towards the end, it kind of feels like we have a couple of main characters who have just this incredible amount of plot armor, who have no chance whatsoever to die because we know they have bigger things to come. And that's kind of created this like really problematic situation where an amazingly cool battle in Fields of Fire 2.0, or whatever you want to call it,
God awful.
kind of feels
Loot Train's
completely meaningless. Wait, I'm not calling it that.
The Loot Train battle.
Even say the name. No, I'm not saying the name.
Terrible.
An amazingly awesome battle seems like it's going to have almost no consequences and going to be like one of those, oh yeah, that happened, but who cares? And that's what's really starting to worry me, that we've got these big battles like we had back in episode 1 with the Greyjoy attack, and this one where it's like, oh yeah, big battles should be really important. Nope, not. Totally meaningless. Doesn't matter. And like if you compare that to where we were in the first couple of seasons, like you have a big battle, and it's like that reverberated for an entire season. And
whole
also,
seasons are building up the battles.
The pacing in this episode was awful. There's no way around it. The pacing in this episode was absolutely awful. And I said this to Cory, and I think this is where I'm going to say, I think the individual scenes in this episode are fine, other than the introduction of the whole "let's go get a white," which I thought was really stupid. Other than that, each individual scene I thought was really well executed, but there was nothing in between that made it work. It did not hold together as a singular episode. It felt very disjointed, very much like plot point, plot point, plot point, without any of the connective tissue, and that bothered me. However, we will talk about this a lot. So let's get right in, and I'm going to start with just my first, like, really major problem from this episode, and that's the fact that Jaime was not captured.
No, I'm
so annoyed about this.
No,
Did you see where that scene was set up?
Just that magical river.
That river. You know, Bronn must be an Olympic swimmer. If he carried Jaime in full plate armor down the river, away from the Dothraki, away from the dragons, and lifted him out of the water onto the beach, I was like, wait, what?
You see,
That was so silly.
That was the big reveal. Bronn is an
aquatic
mammal.
It was not silly.
Is he Aquaman?
No. Bronn's a warg. He warged into a seal, and the seal carried them out.
Oh,
We did it, guys. We figured it out.
Freshwater seals now?
I don't know. Whatever the fuck. It was the first.
Oh no, this
sea
is
animal I could
Blackwater
think of.
Rush. This isn't seawater. This is seawater. This is not. You're right.
This is the
That's
first
fine. There
sea
can be
animal I
seals.
can think of. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Cory, defend this scene because you want to.
It's really hard. Right now we're in the midst of a chaotic battle. The only two people that saw Jaime storming Daenerys was Daenerys herself, and then Tyrion. So
And all the Dothraki on the hill.
No, the Dothraki were doing their thing. I didn't see any
They were on the
Dothraki.
hill.
There was a guy talking to Tyrion. There was literally a guy saying, Tyrion, your people can't fight. And he's like, yeah, they suck.
Okay, but they weren't, like, when it actually happened, the Dothraki wasn't watching that. So it was really just Tyrion saying, don't do it, retreat, you crazy bastard, and then, obviously, Daenerys. So that was that. Daenerys wasn't going to dive in after him. So that is fine that they weren't captured. So you guys are now saying that how did he drag him out of the water to the other side of the river? Jaime did not have to, he wasn't passed out. He was like
He was sinking like a rock.
He was sinking, sure. He was in shock, but I'm
And in full plate armor, which, doesn't float.
Okay, so if Jaime was still conscious, he still could have helped swim. You don't just auto sink.
But that doesn't get at the fundamental problem of you have this really cool scene of Jaime charging at Daenerys and sort of he's reliving his choice of I am going to end this war now, and I'm watching the daughter of the Mad King burn people alive. I can't watch this. I'm going to end this right now.
Okay.
And that's the kind of moment when someone does something like that in Game of Thrones where they die, where there's some consequence. There's
I'm sorry. You can't keep doing that all the time, especially this late in the show. You can't lose every main character. Like, you've done it already for the first 4-5 seasons, and
then you can't. Then you don't get to have Jaime charging heroically.
Yeah, like, I don't-
at Daenerys.
It's not the-
Then that's fine. Then Jaime just leaves the battle and goes back to King's Landing. And on top of that, for all of Jaime's valor in the beginning of the episode, last episode, when it was like, no, I'm not leaving. I am staying with my troops. Where'd that go? He got pulled out of the river. He could have swam back and stayed with his troops. No, he left.
So what was the point? They were all done. The battle.
They were just as done at the start of the battle and at the end of the battle. There was no chance that they were going to win this battle. Jamie knew it. Jamie made the decision. I'm staying with my army, and I'm seeing
So
this.
what was Jamie going to swim back to under your logic?
Swim back and say, I am the leader of this army. I am standing with my troop.
At the time he got shored, they were all done. They were all dead. There was nothing to swim back to.
There was. Clear. We saw Randall Tarly and a bunch of Lannisters were still alive. What are you talking about?
They surrendered.
Okay.
And Jamie could have gone back and surrendered with them.
No, that would not. You're not making Mark.
So,
go on.
Yeah,
Go
the
ahead,
issue, like, I'm not that upset over this because, so the way they know the story is going to go, he's not expendable. Yes, they did that scene, and you're right in making the point that he shouldn't be able to do that and get away with this in the show. But it's just part of the thing is a lot of the tension has disappeared because they've basically run out of expendable characters, and everyone has their own, purpose now. So with Jamie, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
and there was so much cool that could have been with, like, Jamie's
Right.
been captured and Tyrion has to deal with the problems of that.
My biggest
That's the
issue with
big
it,
thing.
in general, was that Tyrion watched him fall into the water.
Right.
And so that means that in order for this scene to happen, Tyrion had to watch Jamie and Bronn go in the water, didn't try to save him, didn't try to capture him, and just let them swim.
Right, there was no reaction from either Daenerys or Jaime.
And it's not like Tyrion thinks they're dead.
Yeah, he doesn't think
because
they're dead.
Tyrion later in the episode, it's like,
He goes
well,
to
I'll
find
talk
him,
to
yeah.
Jamie. He's alive.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what, like, kind of blows my mind. That, like, a lot of things had to fall into place there that we didn't see off camera.
And the possible plot of Jamie being captured would definitely have added some.
Yeah, and
I think a lot of people wanted to see that.
Yeah, the biggest part was the cock tease of Jamie could have been captured. Ooh, look at this
Right.
whole dynamic that we were, like, thinking about over for the whole weekend. And
Right,
the whole
the
weekend
reversal of roles between him and Tyrion.
And then none of it happened. Basically.
Right.
In the
get
end, the fact that he doesn't get captured is not the biggest deal to me. It's just the fact that they teased him being
Right.
captured
There have been some cop-outs of
for the moment that they
this
wanted.
before.
And like,
It really feels to me like they are going for epic moment at expense of actual story, like correct storytelling, and that really worries me because Game of Thrones is so opposite. Like has been so antithetical to that over the years.
Because what it's like Batman vs Superman, where they just have moments that are cool and there's no story behind it anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
Loose connected story.
Here's the thing. If this show was going to be 14, 15 seasons long, then you guys are absolutely right. But we have a limited amount of episodes to work with. So now we have to change the formula right now. I'm sorry, we have to change what we're used to and spoiled by even.
But now the thing is, they knew what the story was, more the broad strokes throughout the entire thing. You can't be like, oh, we ran out of time. Sorry, the storytelling gets bad now.
True.
That's not a good excuse.
It's not bad storytelling. I completely agree with you saying it's bad storytelling. I'm saying it's different than what we're used to.
Yeah, like,
and I'm saying
no, I think it's bad.
And I'm also saying no, they did not know how the story was going to pan out. George R.R. Martin didn't finish his book, so right now the show is ahead of the books. So now they're just.
What I'm saying is they knew broad strokes.
Yeah,
broad strokes knew where they were going. They knew Daenerys was making it back to Westeros at some point. Like, there was no reason they said it had to be starting in this season. They could have done it at the beginning, sometime during last season if they really wanted to.
Yeah, like George R. R. Martin has given them plot points and like the general ending of the story. Who dies when and shit.
Yeah, I would say at the end of the day it felt cheap because it didn't really feel like there was consequences for it.
Yeah, to me it feels like I understand why they had to go faster. It's just like, why do the Jamie charge?
I would say...
Or do the Jamie charge and explain why he's on the other side of the river now.
Yeah, I wasn't too bothered by it, at least compared to... Because, okay, fine, Jamie has to stay with Cersei in King's Landing. That's fine. But, the way they did it,
Yeah.
All right, I don't want to get too bogged down on this one scene, but there's going to be a lot. We focused on Jamie there. I'm going to give another quick SOT of like things I hate. Bronn made absolutely no sense in these two episodes.
Oh, this is going to be a long episode, man.
It is. But he made no sense. Last episode, he's like, I'm you need to pay me or I'm out. And then he's like, no, I'm going to stay in this battle. And it kind of gave me the feel of like Braun actually cares about Jaime. And yeah, he's talking about how he needs to get paid because that's Braun's like motto. But in reality, he's starting to like kind of forge a bond with Jaime, and he feels like he's going to fight and stand up for him. And then in this episode, we went back to like, oh no, Braun's actually not really like that. He's just in this for the money. And if he's in it for the money, there's no reason he should have been in that battle. He should have fled. It just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, his
characters made no sense to me.
And he knows that like if Jaime's dead, there's no fucking way he's getting anything, right?
But what's the point of getting a castle if you're going to get burned by a dragon?
I don't know. But he knows he's gonna get nothing if Jaime.
But he didn't. He didn't get burned. I just don't get it.
You could make.
He's not a coward. He was never like. He's gonna do what he has to do. Like, I don't get it, Mark.
Because
so hard on this.
He deliberately said there is a 100% scene where Braun says to Tyrion, "I will not fight the Mountain because I don't know if I can win, and why am I risking my life in this situation?" The risk versus reward here is not lining up. And if fighting the Mountain is too dangerous for Braun, getting into a fight with dragons and Dothraki where it's not about your personal skill, it's really exclusively about luck. There's no like, I can get away from the dragon fire if the dragon goes after me. How is that a better risk calculation?
I'm also thinking it's more on a macro level here too, where he probably thinks like Cersei thinks, and a lot of the other people on Jaime's side thinks, where it's like these are savages, and you don't want these types of people ruling over.
No.
He'll go live his life.
You think Braun has some nationalistic attitude towards Westeros?
No, not nationalistic attitude. I think more xenophobic towards the Dothraki.
Okay, where though? Like, where does that even come from?
It could be fear. I mean, you could say just simple fear.
Wasn't he? Yeah. Is there even? Are we even know if he's Westerosi?
I don't remember.
I've assumed as much, but I have no idea.
Was he flea bottom? I don't know. Could have been.
I guess maybe. I don't know. All right, whatever. Let's.
Yeah.
If you want to say something, Nick, go ahead.
It's him knocking them out of the way out of the dragon characteristic, but you could salvage some selfishness out of it, like the whole scene with the gold. It's not like he suddenly had some change of heart there.
It's not me knocking Jaime out of the way. It's the fact that at the beginning of the battle, he just stays in it. I know that was wrong.
Yeah.
But whatever. All right, let's not stay on Braun for too long. All right, so we have Jaime gets back to King's Landing, and we see. We'll get to the stuff with Tyrion in a bit, but we get Jaime and Cersei's two scenes, which I think were executed well. But the big question is, what do you guys think about Cersei's pregnancy?
Not pregnant.
No, I think she's pregnant.
I think she's not pregnant. I think she just said it to keep Jaime from leaving. That's my guess.
I don't think so. I think, and I think I said this, Cory, but I think that the one thing that I've always believed about Cersei is that she loves her children, and I don't think she could bring herself to make that kind of lie.
Yeah,
if she is pregnant, she's on a timer.
If she's pregnant, she has to die within 9 months.
Yeah. Or something
but time doesn't matter anymore, so who cares?
Well, the baby can't come out. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but time means like the pregnancy could last the entirety of the show, and that'd be fine, I guess. Like,
sure.
I bet if you keep track of it alongside the traveling people have to do, it'll look weird. But slight chance it's Euron's.
That would be something. It comes out, a little Kraken baby.
Yeah, black hair.
Black hair. Yeah. It's strong.
Or it's a dwarf. Or it's messed
people
up.
Saying it's gonna be a dwarf.
If it's a dwarf, that'd be amazing.
What people are saying is it could be a dwarf and it's gonna kill her.
Yeah.
But how is that the value? I guess then Jaime. No, that works because Jaime put the baby in. Then Jesus. Well, okay.
And then
That's
Jaime's Azor Ahai because the baby becomes Lightbringer.
Or
his dick's Lightbringer. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure which one it is.
Well, speaking of dicks being Lightbringer, did you see the post about Rhaegar being Azor Ahai?
Yeah. And then Jon is Lightbringer. Yeah.
Jon being Lightbringer. Yeah. So
it's kind of what I was thinking from. Yeah.
Is there anything else in King's Landing you guys want to talk about, specifically between Jaime and Cersei?
I liked her reaction when Jaime told her about how Joffrey died, because I think it was just like the right reaction. How she was like, "I told you that we should have like tortured her instead," and like I really like that conversation between them.
Yeah, I mean, she's continuing to show her total evilness.
She just doesn't give any fucks anymore.
But it's funny. I think it's even more personal.
No, I also think she relishes cruelty. I think she
no. Look at how she treated the Dorne sister. Sister.
Yeah, she enjoys it. You're saying, right?
Yeah, I'm saying I think she enjoys it.
I think she also doesn't give any fucks about anything.
I think she just enjoys revenge of people that wronged her family.
I mean, yes, that's fine, but I think that I think she really enjoys watching the pain.
Yeah.
I don't think she's like John.
We are not disagreeing.
We're
right
trying
now.
to agree.
Let's stop fighting.
I'm not trying to fight you. I'm just saying I think you're confusing like.
She's not torturing cats. That's fair. She's not.
Yeah, she's not like Joffrey, where he tortures for the sake of torture. She tortures for the sake of revenge.
Yes. All right. Next up, we have good old Daenerys, who decides to burn some people alive. Dickon, I don't know why you were on this show, but he had a good run. I did really like though the sort of symbolism of, and this is, yeah, and the whole. I saw this is directly off Reddit, but like the whole like Randall Tarley specifically choosing Dickon as like his heir and kicking Sam out, and like the reason because Sam was a coward and he wanted like a strong warrior for a son. And on a certain level, you can kind of say like maybe Dickon was a little too much like his father, too willing to like die in this situation. And if he had just a little bit more coward, he would have done what Randall wanted and not died and kept the house going.
Yeah.
But Dany burning some people. Obviously, this didn't sit so well with Tyrion and Varys. How did it sit with you guys?
Well, it's 2 and not the whole of them. I don't know.
I'm pretty pro burning people, actually. Yeah.
In general, yes. In general.
No, I mean it was
strategically burn people. You know, it only takes 2 to start a war and overthrow your own country, right?
Yeah.
You just burn a father-son combo, and it's not too bad. Not like that's ever gone wrong before, right?
Not once.
Wonder how that'll work out with Sam.
I mean,
he doesn't know yet. He just bailed. He's like, well, Sam had a crisis at college. Realized that he was not in the major he wanted, and he left.
Yeah,
it happens.
Well, we'll get to Sam.
We'll get to Sam.
Of course.
In a bit. All right. So the rest. So then we also had Tyrion and Varys' conversation. Do you guys get the very clear Varys is betraying her soon sense?
I don't think so. Who's gonna go to?
I don't know. John?
I think Daenerys' arc could go in any direction.
But like if he goes to Jon, Jon's not going to go against Daenerys at this point because Jon doesn't give a shit
in
about
the show. Does Dany still have a betrayal left?
In the show,
I think so.
Oh crap! I forgot what it was.
Of the predictions,
was it one for love, one for gold, one for blood? And was there another one? Wait, I don't remember now.
Maybe I just have to look that up. This is what happens when I'm not.
The gold one was Jorah, right?
Yeah.
Give me a second. 3 tree. Oh, it's 3. Okay, yeah. So it's gold. It's one for life, one for death, one for love. Wait. Am I losing my mind?
I thought there was one for gold.
Oh, that's the fire too much light. Sorry. Okay, 3 treasons you will know. One for blood, one for gold, one for love. Yeah. So the gold one. Wait, which one's Jorah now? Is that the one for love or is that one for gold?
I'm not. I don't know if we've actually confirmed that. I think we're just kind of supposed to interpret.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'm pretty sure Dany does have a betrayal left.
Varys isn't going to betray her until he finds someone better.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he is truly for the people, he's got to find someone. Because right now,
at least in the show,
it just gave me the sense that he seems pretty like, did I back the right horse right now?
Well, I think right now he's saying like he still thinks he could save her from turning into her father. That's what I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, he's like, all right, she's showing a little target in her, a little bit of target in her, and let's stop that from happening. I think that's basically it.
So to continue through Dragonstone, Jon Snow got his dragon, little dragon pet on. That was nice. I like the scene.
I wish it was Rhaegal, but whatever.
It wasn't? Oh, that was Drogon?
Drogon.
I honestly didn't realize and thought
No
it was
screen
Rhaegal.
time for the others.
Yeah, Drogon. They put all the CG at the Drogon.
All right. Well, at least. Did you guys get this? I got the very clear sense that this was a major turning point for Dany. That this was when she really started trusting him.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I don't know, really trusting him, but
sense.
yeah, maybe.
It's starting.
Now, do you think that Jon not being honest about the whole "I died" thing is going to come back to bite him in the ass?
I don't think so. But
Why? I wonder why. Why is he hiding it?
Well,
I mean, I think how exactly do you tell someone that I died and got brought back to life?
He's already saying, "Hey, we have to fight the dead." Guess what? I'm also one.
Exactly.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. Like, Dany's done some pretty crazy shit. So.
Yeah. But if you're saying there's an army of dead coming, and guess what? I'm also one of the dead. It's kind of like
I'm also dead. I think it's a little weird. I just think it's kind of especially because Jon clearly is kind of freaked out by the whole thing too. I don't think he wants to admit it.
You can only drop so much crazy at a time.
However, Jorah Mormont's back. He made it back to Dany.
J-Bear.
Ooh, yay, J-Bear.
And then he leaves.
Yeah, and he was on Dragonstone all of 5 minutes.
Yep.
Oh, who the hell knows how long he was actually on Dragonstone?
It's just, I don't know, just the looks between the three of them were just, there were a lot of really good freeze frames in that entire sequence. I love the shout outs to the TLDRs afterwards that come out the next day on from is it Chris? Yeah, Chris reviews. God, they're so on point. I love them.
Yeah.
Hopefully, mention of the sword comes up in the next episode.
Yeah, he's got his sword.
Yeah.
So now we need to talk about the true elephant in the room, and that is this whole let's go get away.
Are we going there first, or are we going King's Landing first?
Well, I want to.
Oh, the smuggling.
The smuggling.
Well, it's the whole the smuggling. All right, so let's do the smuggling first, and then
first off, I want to say I thought the burning scene was good, and the dragon scene was pretty decent. So
yeah, I think they're both
give some positives.
Yeah. So let's. Well, I guess we start with the whole plan to smuggle in. Was the smuggling as disappointing to you guys as it was to me?
You mean just him trying to bribe?
Wow, he rode up to a shore and walked in.
It was a little underwhelming, but it's a bit of a Davos pass,
Yeah. The one thing I did I really liked Davos's and Tyrion's exchange with last time I was here, I just killed my father. Last time I was here, you killed my son with wildfire. I thought that was.
Yeah.
I've always said this shows at its best when it's two people traveling.
Yeah.
Right.
Davos did a whole. He dadded that entire all of those scenes. So Davos is the dad of this show now. It's happened.
We get to Gendry, and the question I want to ask about this is: if Gendry was not a super fan favorite character, would Gendry be in this episode?
Yes.
It depends. I think if he actually has a plot point to play in the story coming up.
I hope to God that he does.
Which is why I feel like the Iron Bank has to have a point. Same kind of deal. If the Iron Bank didn't have a point to play in the story, they would just not include it. Eventually.
I hope so.
Yeah.
The most useful point Gendry could have is presenting himself as the heir to the Stormlands.
Yeah.
He could be legitimized as it.
Yeah.
Because who has the Stormlands now? Is it? I don't even know.
No one.
No,
I don't think anybody does right now.
Crown right now.
Is anyone in Storm's End?
I don't believe so. No.
Oh, right.
Although they probably don't control it much anymore.
I believe in the books, it's a different bastard controls it.
Well, I think in the books right now.
Well, in the book, Stannis is still alive, but.
Well, yeah, but no, in the books right now, it's fake Aegon trying to attack it.
Oh yeah, that's true. They had landed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
John Kynes.
Yes. I thought the Gendry scene was I was really excited that we got to see Gendry. It did get a little fan servicey.
Yeah, that's what I realized. It was getting a little fan servicey.
Davos'
still be rowing.
on the nose line about the rowing was a little much, but it was fine. I thought it functioned, and we got Gendry back, so I'm not gonna.
Because like in the end, I was like, oh, this is a little fan service, and then he pulled out the hammer. I'm like, all right, okay, I'm hyped now. I'm ready for it.
The Gendry hammer there's some hype there.
Yeah.
However, we get Tyrion and Jaime's conversation. As a quick aside, another one. How the fuck did Tyrion contact Bronn and set that? Like, what? That didn't make any fucking sense.
Unless that's the missing scene that we were talking about earlier. He pulled
literally.
Tyrion pulls Bronn and Jaime out. Jaime's still unconscious. He says, "Hey, I'll come talk to you later," and throws him back in the water.
But it was pretty clear that he said like that they decided on this plan to go to King's Landing.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
After that, so I don't think so.
Never mind, scratch that.
I mean, it would make sense if like Varys sent a little bird in, but Varys clearly has no intel about anything on this planet, so don't buy that.
Yeah.
No one has intel anymore.
I don't know.
Except Cersei, apparently.
Cersei knows.
No. I think more like Euron. He has some shit magic.
However, I as scenes go, I thought that the conversation was well executed between Tyrion and Jaime.
Yeah, I always thought it was weird because like he didn't seem as angry in the show, but like in the books, he's like, I'm gonna kill Tyrion. I guess. Yeah. He was angry enough, enough for me.
He was previously angry, but the confirming Joffrey thing might have helped.
Helped a little bit. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think Jaime ever believed it though.
I mean, he still killed his dad, but
yeah,
that's still a thing.
It's not like Jaime liked Tywin.
I think he was okay with Tywin. No, he at least respected him.
Yeah.
There was a little.
Anything else? I mean, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I like getting to see Jaime swing his hammer and take out two City Watch guys.
Yeah.
And maybe I like Davos too much, but I like that scene as well.
Yeah.
No, I did. I enjoyed that scene a lot. That was the kind of more slow paced, like let's kind of have some fun while also kind of informing us about the world. Oh, it's been a while since Davos has been a smuggler in these parts. It's it's more expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
So I actually think that was a very good scene there.
We haven't had a scene like that in a while, and it felt almost placed, even though it was good, because everything else seemed so fast paced and was moving things along. Kind of had 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to talk about this plan.
The Suicide Squad?
Let's go capture a white. Not even that part, but just the idea of let's capture a white, bring it back to Cersei, and be like, actually, these things are real, and we need to fight them.
I don't like the idea of bringing it to Cersei to try to convince her. I mean, I don't think Cersei believes it, but I think it's like better off bringing it back to show like Daenerys even, because Cersei doesn't give a shit.
Like that, I'd agree. If it was just bringing it back to Dany, I'd be okay with it. But with the fact that they're including Cersei, to me makes no sense, especially considering Cersei has a reanimated dead body as her body.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, dead people like, hey, this guy back here.
I mean, he's a zombie.
I actually didn't even think of that. That's really funny to even think about.
Like, Cersei's like, yeah, he's a zombie. Who cares?
Is he a zombie or is he like some type of
dead?
Weird... Yeah.
If you consider zombie risen dead person, then yeah, he's a zombie.
Sure, that's true. But yeah, I agree with you that showing it to Cersei is definitely like, okay, what are you gonna like convince her out of all people? She like destroyed an entire like part of the city. It's just like funny to me. Yeah.
Not to mention the idea of like, let's send 12 people out and they're gonna capture one makes kind of
I almost thought.
Especially when Bran saw all the entire army right there. Like, let's all go out. We'll grab one real quick, come back.
I almost thought someone was going to say, so I guess we're some kind of Suicide Squad.
That or, like, Ramsay Bolton rising up and being like, don't worry, guys. I got this.
I got 20 good men.
Whistles, 20 good men run behind him.
Sir 20 of the House Goodmen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The only unit at this point that seems more powerful is Bronn's ability to swim.
Yeah, pretty much. Bronn's thighs, really.
But for me, so the whole point of going up to get a white and bringing it down, proving to some lords, maybe sending it to the Citadel, that kind of makes sense. The way that conversation went was terrible, I think. Like, they made it seem like the center point was, let's just completely drop this. And Dany was seemed right on board with that. Okay, if we can bring this down, we can drop the war and get Cersei to agree with the peace. That made it seem like the peace with Cersei was the main point, and that makes absolutely no sense. Like, that whole scene to me, it seemed like it struck me as something I would see in some random television show, you know? Like,
well, and even the rapid fire nature of the dialogue kind of felt like that. Why kind of like the plan, almost like the plan building you get. I mean, almost to me like you know, you kind of get like the shows where you have like like characters finishing each other's sentences and kind of like building this elaborate plan, and that can be entertaining. It wasn't, but it felt, I don't know,
very contrived here.
It's very pedestrian,
right? Like, if you're Dany's perspective, you just want this big. I don't think you'd want to hear about this, like doing this now. You'd want to, all right, I'll help you if you can prove it, but I'm going to try to finish this war for now.
I almost would have liked Dany's perspective to be like, you know what? Yes, this is coming. Then we need to end this war now.
Right, exactly.
Like, go into King's Landing. I'm doing this, and then they'll be like, you can't do it. He's like, look, I'm not doing this because I want to kill people. I'm doing this because if I don't take the realm, we're screwed. Like that could have been brought up. I think that maybe there was like. It would have worked maybe if this was like a little like, we need Daenerys' help. Well, she just doesn't believe you. How are we going to do that? Okay, why don't we bring her a white and show Dany? That could have kind of worked.
Right. Maybe even you'll get some people to defect if you're just showing it to the lords and showing we need to fight this threat. But yeah, the way they handled it, I really just didn't see it at all.
And then they leave. And I've said the last 2 weeks that I have not seen any anything between Dany and Jon that would be considered romantic. I've thought, like, people have seen it, and I've thought, wow, you're just looking for it. I haven't seen it all. This was the first episode that I got a hint of it exclusively on Dany's side. It seemed pretty clear to me that Dany's kind of falling for Jon. I don't think Jon has any feelings for her whatsoever. And I don't know if that's just Kit Harington and just like the brood that is Jon Snow. But there were looks that Dany was giving that it really seemed like when Jon's like, I'm going to go. I honestly like was expecting like but what if you were to get hurt? Like that almost is what it felt like.
Mark, she's not a redhead. That's why we're not seeing it.
Yeah. If you're the redhead, Sean would be all over that.
Yeah, that's true. But did you guys pick up on that the way I did?
On Dany, yes, and I agree with you on everything. Yeah,
crazy.
And I actually, again, I don't think it would be in Jon Snow's interest to like think about being in love with anyone. And I think Daenerys makes perfect sense because she knows that she needs pretty much a regal wedding just to solidify everything. And think about it. If you're Dany and let's say Jon doesn't bend a knee, it's fine. It is what it is. And she marries him instead. You're still uniting the kingdoms, just in a different way.
Yeah. And I mean, I really think, I go back to, I really think that the scene with Drogon is what propelled that, where it's kind of like seeing him with, honestly, to be kind of in a very weird metaphor way, but like, when the mom sees the potential boyfriend with her children, with the single mom sees him with her children, that's when it's like, yeah, I think I kind of really got that. It's like, wow, if my dragons like you.
Got the dragon's approval.
Yep. You don't realize the only approval you actually need.
Now the other thing is you had Jorah, and I got the sense, and maybe I'm the only one on this one, but I got the sense that obviously we know Jorah's in love with Dany. We know that 100%. And I got the sense that Dany was, in the moments where it seemed like she was looking at Jorah, was looking at Jon, and Jorah was interpreting it a different way.
That I don't know. That's too much subcontext for me to look at.
I'm not sure about that, but I do agree with what you said about him or her and Jon, and I think that's inevitable. I personally think, anyway.
Yeah, it just makes too much sense for the story.
Yeah.
At least in the last moment when she's kind of looking out at them as they get onto the boat, it really looked, because it felt like Jorah looks back as though he wants her to be looking at him, and it felt like she was looking at Jon.
Yeah,
I could see it.
I could
see it.
Sure.
Aunt nephew though. Oof.
Yeah, I'm not okay with it, but
That's
That's
standard
To be fair, no one knows yet.
Yeah.
But it's gonna happen.
And then they make it up to Eastwatch, because they get to Eastwatch. They talk to Tormund, and they find Thoros, the Hound, and Beric Dondarrion. Not entirely sure why they're in the cells. That kind of felt a little weird.
Yeah,
to
I
me.
don't know why they were locked up.
I mean, maybe they tried to get through the wall, and they're like, "No, you can't do that."
You go to the wall, you turn into fucking zombies. We don't need more zombies. I don't know.
That's the best I could come up with it. But it was like they're in jail. The wildlings, I guess. Okay.
They need someone to come out of jail to make this really the Suicide Squad.
However, as this being the Suicide Squad, is this the only member that I honestly think that should be there that isn't is Brienne? But this is a pretty sick team. I like this team.
Not Brienne. Brienne should be there, right?
No, as I said, Brienne should be there. That's the only one that's not. No, not Brienne. The only one that really should be there.
Brienne is Professor X. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Professor X.
He's Professor X.
Yes, you can ask a question, TPP Poker. I don't know who that is.
It's quite a squad. I'm a fan of the squad.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you know what I like that Jorah knows Thoros and Myr, because I forgot about this and I looked it up later that they were the first two who threw the breach at, against.
Well, he says that in the conversation with Barristan.
Barristan, yeah, I remember that.
I really like honestly, I like all of the relationships in here that you have, like the Hound, with them. You have Thoros and Gendry, who don't like Gendry, who doesn't trust them because of the Red Priest stuff. You have Tormund and Jorah, who doesn't, they don't like the Mormonts. Like, you have all these there's a lot of ways for this to go wrong, but they're going north of the wall and better make this one work.
Yeah, as ridiculous as it is, I'm still hyped for it.
I'm hyped for it. There was a theory floating around that I think is really interesting of that Beric Dondarrion is going to be the White.
Yeah.
That he's gonna die, and it's like that's gonna be kind of like quote unquote his purpose.
Yeah, because he keeps having the cycle of life and death. It's like, what the fuck is he even doing? Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be pretty dark.
And then the other purpose is that
it would also
back,
work.
right?
It would also work well as they actually don't have to fully engage the army in like some kind of crazy way. Like, becomes a little bit more reasonable.
I am a little interested by the mechanics of the wall. So as I gather, it just I guess the White Walkers and people like what's the Uncle Benjen?
Yeah.
We might see, I guess.
Yeah, Benjen can still be around somewhere, right?
Yeah, but I guess Whites can pass through because we saw one in Castle Black. So I'm a little confused.
I'm pretty sure Bran may have fucked all of them.
That's true, but we don't know that yet.
Like the actual White Walker, like the fucking
the magic,
king, the magic kings can't go through apparently.
Okay,
until
but
Bran
I guess the Whites can.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing I was reading is that the people were thinking that if Beric turns into a zombie, right, then they bring him down and not all of them live, and they bring him to King's Landing, then the Hound is in King's Landing with the Mountain. Air horns.
What if the Hound becomes the White, and then we get Clegane Bowl, but it's zombie
zombie Clegane Bowl? Yeah, that's the other thing I was saying.
And
that could be a lot of fun.
Oh my god, then he fights the Mountain.
Yep.
Both zombies.
Yeah.
Be the best.
What's better than Clegane Bowl? Zombie Clegane Bowl.
Zombie Clegane Bowl. Does he have to change the music for that? Is there like a good zombie dubstep to add?
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Some sort of MLG dubstep zombie version.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we need.
All right, so let's shift all the way down to the exact opposite and head over to Old Town, with our good buddy Samwell Potter. Here's another moment of me kind of like chafing at both the pacing and the way that this whole like Sam thing in Old Town was executed. Because this is kind of the one storyline where they really want to like. It really seemed like they were playing the long game, where like they had this like slow build of okay, we see that Sam's life is pretty terrible. We get the shit montage, then we see him like trying to get information. We have the plot with Jorah, and now that was well, and now we're here, and it's like a weird thing where it's like now it's like, oh no, I'm out, I'm leaving, and I'm kind of like, it feels like there were things that had to happen in Old Town and they kind of just gave it to Sam, and obviously there's some information he's picked up and we get
I think the whole
nod with Gilly.
I think the whole point of Sam's Old Town thing was to cure Jorah, story-wise at least. That could be it.
If they brought the book with them.
Oh, yeah,
So
true.
we have a question.
Do the question first.
Let's just do this. So, do you think the Night King has an ice dragon? I guess Paul. What do you? Who? All unfair. Do you think the Night King is an ice dragon?
Not yet.
Not yet. Soon.
I'm gonna say not. I'm gonna say not yet. I'm gonna say though. I think so. I think he will. I think there will be ice dragons.
Oh, he will. Yes.
I think he will. Right now, I don't
yet.
think. I think one of Danny's dragons will be turned at some point.
Mhm.
They'll shoot him down with the giant arrows.
And next one, do you think the mountain could beat a wildling giant? No.
One-on-one? No, the giants.
One-on-one, no. The giants are way, way bigger. And
the mountain's also slow, like super.
Yeah.
Yes. Hacking and lunging.
Yeah. Because at least what the mountain.
Could you imagine Arya versus the mountain?
I think Arya win. Just keep cuts.
Yeah.
Cuts. Little
A
cuts.
water dance.
Beaten with my paper cuts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little of the opinion Brienne was holding back a bit. I mean,
It's not a real fight.
Yeah.
right. But
They're both definitely not trying to hit.
It was a sparring sword, but
Yeah.
she wasn't really trying to.
All right, so back to Old Town.
Mhm.
How did you guys feel about the whole Sam situation?
It was. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was kind of annoyed by how they glossed over like the most major plot point I think in the show right now. And I think Mark, I think you said you liked it or you didn't mind it, but it kind of really bothered me. That's the thing that bothered me the most this episode, I think.
What the reveal of the fact that Rhaegar was married?
Like, oh, Rhaegar got annulled and got married in Dorne, and like it was like I think that wasn't a prime example of fan service right there.
Yeah, unless it's gonna come up again, unless it's gonna be like a big deal, like Sam is actually gonna be the one to reveal this, I'm just not. It was very fan servicey. I'm kind of okay with it being one line, and I guess I'm okay with the fact that it's not like this is information that that Sam would find interesting. Like it's not like Sam would have any reason to understand why this was such a big deal. But I do agree with you that it was a little bit like, on that kind of on the nose, like, oh yeah, hey everyone, remember the biggest thing that could possibly happen in this universe? Here you go, throwaway line.
Yeah.
And I just don't get it. Like, what's the point other than it just being something the fans could be
Fans
like?
are
"Ooh."
I'm not even sure it's ever gonna even come up. Like
If
plot-wise.
it never comes up, then I would agree that it's pure fan service and a little bit like, okay,
And
guys,
the
we didn't need that.
Maesters, because this is probably like don't you think the Maesters would be pretty interested in hearing that too? Like, whoa, Rhaegar got an annulment and got married in Dorne, a secret wedding in Dorne. Like, I think the Maesters would be on top of that. They knew this too.
Well,
I
the two
don't really
characters-
fully understand what the Maesters are even fucking doing right now.
They're just chilling.
There's clearly a ton of information that has been forgotten and is just.
Do you believe
rotting.
the giant Maester conspiracy where they're trying to wipe magic from the face of the earth? Like the Maesters are trying to get all the dragons to die. There's like this huge post on.
I don't think Slughorn is trying to get rid of magic. I think he's very committed to the magical arts.
But what a twist it would be.
Yeah.
I gotta find that post. It was really.
No, I read it. I think that
yeah.
I think that it works, and I think that it could it's one of those things that definitely in the books I could see it. I don't think that I obviously we don't really have time in the show, but like even more so, I don't think that the show fully understands the role of the Maester anymore. I think that like since Lewin died, I think we've kind of like forgotten why Maesters are important and what their like value is, and that kind of is why it's like I don't know if they're actually doing anything at this point.
Yeah, they're just record keepers.
I was personally okay with most of the Old Town scenes, but the only thing was how he turned on a dime, and time to go.
Yeah.
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 He had a mental breakdown his senior year of college and decided, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah.
And this gets at another thing, and this is going to transition into our discussion in the North, but another thing that I think that is really been problematic this season, because of the fast travel, we don't have any good understanding of how much time is actually passing. How long was Sam in Old Town? Like, we don't really know, and that makes a big difference, because if this was like a year, if he had spent a year and is like, wow, I've spent a year of my life and learned nothing and there's been no point of me being here, I'm out. That's very different than like, this was 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
How old is that kid?
Oh yeah,
Do you think?
I don't know how old was the kid when he got there.
He was born at the beginning of season.
Yeah, but like she was carrying him to Old Town, which is why I'm like, if they had a shot
we
of the
can
kid
track
going
the
to
age of that child, we can figure out a lot.
I guess that's the best way to do it. But it's not explicit, and it's not, and there's really, other than like doing that, like there's no good way to find out, and it becomes problematic because it does change the tone of whether like of Sam leaving as like that this was pointless, or like, you know, it does change the tone of it for me. And where it really changes the tone, and this is why I said we're going to transition into the North, is we get the scene with Sansa and Galbert Glover and was that Robert Royce or whatever, the Royce guy.
The Royce.
And this is really important of how long has Jon actually been away from Winterfell?
Yeah, I don't know, a long time.
Because that scene changes dynamics so much based on whether or not Jon was gone for a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
I would assume a couple of months. It has to be.
Yeah, it's gotta be a couple months or so. Well,
you say it has to be, but why?
Well, he is still gone.
I'm just thinking travel, but then again,
traveling down the coast.
Who knows about travel?
But that's the thing. We do not know, and that is where it gets really problematic, because if he's been gone a couple of months, then it's like, okay, I fully understand why the lords are like, it's like getting worse and worse. They're really starting to they're getting more and more upset and starting to realize like, maybe he's not coming back. What's going on? Do we have any actual word from him? Versus, oh, it's been a couple of weeks, and it's like, oh no, they're just actually just turning towards Sansa. Like, this has nothing to do with frustration. Like, this is just, they believe Sansa should be in power. And those are very different things.
Yeah.
All right. So Sansa and Arya come together, and things are going south between the two of them. And obviously Littlefinger being in the middle of it. I found Arya and Sansa's interactions like in a very like two very different lights, where I think that they made perfect sense and I really liked them. However, within this episode, but I think that taking them in the context of last episode, they feel really odd and like, wow, that relationship churned on a complete dime.
Yeah, I can see that a little bit.
And it's another thing where there's missing scenes. I feel like there's a missing, like 2 or 3 missing scenes in between last episode and this one.
Again, I disagree. I think last episode they were smitten because it was the first time they saw each other in a long time. And this episode, all old problems were stemming up again that they've always had.
But I think that in the last episode, they start out pretty cold and then kind of come together as they kind of both realize, one, family's all that they have left, and 2, they've both been through really tough times and are not the person that they were before. And then it's like we turn immediately into, oh wow, their relationship is turning completely, and actually Sansa's power hungry and wants to be Queen of the North and overthrow Jon. And I thought that kind of came up a little too quickly. Like this is something that should have built over a couple of, an episode or 2, or at least a couple of scenes, and it just kind of happened.
Wait, you got the feeling that Sansa actually is power hungry and wants to become Queen of the North?
I mean, that's what Arya believes, at least.
No, that's what she believes, and I understand why she believes it, but I don't think that's actually the case.
But what I'm saying is, all it took for Arya to believe that was seeing one moment of Sansa talking to two people. That was it. Like, it was, yes, I understand Arya's point of, like, you should have stood up for Jon a little bit more, but that was a little, like, that's a little quick to judgment here.
Yeah,
and
that's just one of the things where I'm thinking, like, there's missing scenes, but you have to just take
Yes.
it, assuming, okay, this happened a couple times, she's seen it. It's like, hey, this is, I get the situation here.
And also, I think they were also playing that scene into the Littlefinger scene, where obviously now you can clearly tell Littlefinger's game plan is to turn Arya against Sansa and add division between the two, and that's obviously where they were going with this now.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And the Arya Littlefinger thing went from, in my head, like, oh my god, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, to actually, no, this is okay. Like, I had a moment when before I saw Littlefinger watching Arya being like, what the fuck is happening? Why didn't he destroy that piece of paper? Why is this even, like, this is just so silly? And then it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
and then
no.
you realize, wait a second,
He was playing something. That said, I don't like. I've been saying I'm kind of like, I don't really think Littlefinger has anything to do. I don't know why he's here anymore, and I'm kind of still there. I hope that this plot doesn't last too long, because I think that his schemings and machinations kind of shouldn't work very well in the North and among a family. And I'm really hoping that this doesn't, like, we're not going for a full-on, like, Stark civil war here.
I don't think so. They don't have time for it. I don't think you're right. I think this is Littlefinger's last hurrah before he ultimately, kicks it.
Yeah.
My hope of what this is, because I was just thinking about this before, my hope is this brings actually Nymeria back in, because remember the beginning of there was trailers at the beginning before the season started at all, and they were saying how, like, the pack survives when the lone wolf dies, whatever. What I'm hoping is this makes Littlefinger trying to split them up will bring Nymeria back to say, as it's getting heated, Nymeria comes back and says, wait a second, this isn't right. Because you know how, like, all the direwolves had kind of this extra sense of, like, when their owner or whatever was in danger. Like, Rob knew, or Grey Wind knew, and then Ghost knows and all that shit. So I'm hoping
there's
that's
a
the way to bring it
direwolf
back.
there.
Yeah, Ghost is there, which is I don't think Littlefinger's ever tricked a magical wolf.
Probably not.
So
Probably.
that's what I'm assuming, is that, like, either Ghost will do something or Nymeria comes back. That's my guess. Because Nymeria kind of was like, all the ghosts are all the direwolves are just reflecting what their owners are, right? When Nymeria didn't come back is because Arya was still kind of her own thing, and now Arya is back in Winterfell, and I think Nymeria will come back now that Arya is back in her family. That's my guess.
The reason I wish I also wish happened is I'm also, like, and obviously I love the direwolves. I've said that I think the killing of Lady was, like, one of the saddest things in this entire show. I'm also kind of at a point where, like, I kind of want the direwolves to start playing a role again, because that was, like, a really, and I actually went back and watched it today just because I was curious. The kind of opening scene when we first meet the direwolves, it really feels like these are going to be, like, really central to the story, and, like, they're just not anymore. Like, they've been like, we haven't seen Ghost at all this season. Obviously everyone else besides Nymeria is dead, and, like, I kind of hope that the direwolves have a bit more of a role to play and weren't just, hey, let's have some cute dogs in the show.
I'm still sad Ghost didn't kill Ramsay.
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Like, Summer was huge. Grey Wind was pretty big, had a pretty big part to play. Ghost has. Unfortunately, Lady and Nymeria
not so much,
not so much.
And Shaggy Dog.
I don't know what the hell happened.
Or Shaggy Dog.
Rickon's still alive, I swear.
He lives on in Shaggy Dog, really.
Yeah.
Actually,
he's been.
Wait, did Shaggy Dog ever actually die?
Yes,
he
they
died
throw
there.
Shaggy Dog's head on to prove that's Rickon Stark.
Whoever caught him, yeah.
Because remember how there's a
Starks
idea that
the Umbers.
Yeah,
Right.
the idea when you when a warg dies, like
they
their
warg into
human
their
body dies, they go into their direwolf. So, like, if Shaggy Dog was alive, Rickon was still technically alive somewhere.
Yeah.
But no, yeah.
And then Bran and Rickon can hang out in, like, far somewhere.
Heaven, I don't know. Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. I believe that's pretty much everything. Anything I didn't talk about that you guys want to talk about?
Could.
I don't remember what else was there.
I'm a little like just everything. I'm a little iffy on Brand's. I like the way they took with
Throughout just the whole thing with Bran.
yeah, just the latest season, him being pretty much omnipotent.
Yeah, he's just a scout.
Yeah.
I like that his omnipotence is obviously A, coming at a major cost to him, and B, clearly not fully developed yet, to the point where like it shows that he can't just like tell everyone everything that's going to happen at all times.
Well,
like,
I think the way they're taking is he knows a ton, but he knows the way everything will unfold, and he's just doing what he's supposed to do.
He's full Dr. Brandhead.
well,
Right.
do you?
I don't know if I like
Are you buying Bran is all Brands, and he
It's
just he doesn't
possible,
even
but-
know where he is in time?
Is that going to come up in the show?
You mean like Bran the Builder and Bran? Oh, that's Bran.
Yeah.
No, I mean not that. I meant that Bran is literally living at all time. Like Bran is, and he literally doesn't know where he is in time. He's just kind of existing on a kind of outside time on a different plane.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. When it's like the Giver. Just, when you know everything.
I was gonna say he's actually accomplished what Savitar wanted.
I don't think he's there though. Again, I think he's someone that like is almost get premonitions, random premonitions, but I think most of the time he's just a detached person.
So you want to just go? You're going Professor Trelawney?
Exactly.
Just
That's-
continue with the Harry Potter.
That's what he was in last season, though. Like, he was still partly himself, but he had random detached. But it clearly there was some sort of gap where he's seen a ton.
Well, it was that moment. It was the one moment when he became the Three-Eyed Raven, and everything shocked his brain.
Heck. Still, I guess there's a lot of ways you could look at it, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a fan.
I'm waiting for him to have some sort of key plot point happen.
And that's what I was
It's going to be revealing R plus Al.
I mean, he did do something big. He definitely had a lot of intention giving up that dagger.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's true.
Something's gonna happen with that.
And I also want to say that I hate the idea of a three-eye raven. Like, I really don't like an omnipotent. I got that right? Like,
Yep.
this being in any
This is what
universe,
counts
let alone
for
Game of Thrones.
these days. Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what that was, but yeah.
I'm quoting Team 4-Star.
Okay, I barely heard it.
I said it low enough that
Okay.
I was hoping people wouldn't even hear it.
Yeah.
Anything else? Sorry, Cory. Is there something you want to say that I cut you off?
I mean, did you hear what I said?
No, not at all.
I don't like the idea of an omnipotent being in any universe, let alone Game of Thrones. I think it devalues a lot of things. And again, I say this in like every podcast I do with you guys. I hate Deus Ex Machina. Like, and I think
Wait a minute. You hate
Wow.
Deus Ex Machina, but you're totally okay with Jamie's about to die. Oh no, he's not.
Wait, I'm sorry. Where's that Deus Ex Machina? Unless like Bran like summoned like an army of ravens to carry him out of the river or something.
He might as well have.
It's not Deus Ex Machina.
Might as well.
Deus Ex Machina is something that like is plucked. That's like divine that can like solve all
It's
problems.
not always divine. It's just magical solution appears at the perfect time.
There was no magical solution.
By
That's
magical, I'm not saying meaning magic. Magical meaning very convenient.
But yeah, I don't
All
like.
right, whatever.
idea of
Sorry.
three-eyed raven.
I want to yell at Cory. All right, so Nick, go on.
I'm sorry?
You were about to say something?
Oh no, I don't think so.
All right, so with that, we are going to wrap things up. So we are going to go into our final thoughts and our rating. I have a guest on this show, so we are going to explain our rating scale. We are rating things between a 0 and a 10, a 5 being average, 0 being the worst episode of television you've ever seen, 10 being utter perfect television. And you can kind of extrapolate from there, a 6 being good, a 7 being very good, an 8 being excellent, a 2 being bad, et cetera, et cetera. As I was saying, we are rating against all of television, not just Game of Thrones. So you might have heard me being very negative. I'm not going to give it a 1 because this was clearly not terrible television, but we will see how everyone rates. So, Cory, One that you started us off, so why don't you once again start us off with your final thoughts and your rating?
Again, I really like this episode. I don't think the show's losing its way. I do think the formula is changing in order to accommodate for them having 2 more episodes this season and then, 7 next season? So I think these are necessary changes that need to happen. As Mark, you said to me earlier today, like, I am someone that does enjoy a scene-by-scene thing where you just get overall. I kind of see what you were saying, where it's like there's individual scenes that work, but they don't web together and hold a full structure upright. But I don't think it's that out there where it's noticeable. I think it's still competent television. I don't think anything is bad television by any stretch of the imagination. That being said, I think I still like the way the show is going in the direction they're going on a lot of these things, and I don't see that much filler anymore. And I think, based on everything I'm seeing, I think the show has a lot to still show us that will really make everything that we're seeing today like, well, was this a good idea or was this a bad idea? So we'll see. So that being said, I think this episode ends up giving an 8. I give it an 8.
All right, Chris.
All right. So what I was trying to say at the beginning, which we touched on everything, is I just feel like the show has changed a decent amount just because of how fast everything has to move, right? Which is fine. I understand it, but I do feel like it's turning into like a little bit of just everybody's so obsessed with the show, right? That everybody has it's so popular that there's just like in jokes with everything. You know, Clegane Bowl, there's Gendry rowing and stuff like that. And I think I've realized that the show's runners could just throw those little things in there for everyone, and people will love the show no matter what else happens. That being said, if this was like A Song of Ice and Fire of the book, I'd be like, all right, George R. Martin, come on now, give me some more stuff. But since it's a show, I've just kind of accepted it, and it's still like, even with all this stuff, I'm still every weekend entertained as hell. I was screaming at the TV watching yesterday because Gendry with a warhammer, Robert Baratheon Jr., that kind of stuff. So like, it's still goddamn entertaining TV, but it's not the show that I remembered from before, which is that's really kind of what I've realized in the last couple episodes in this season. But at this point, I'm so like, I need the ending so badly, and I know George R. Martin's not gonna give it to me in the next 2 decades, so I have to enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy every weekend. So this episode by itself, I think, probably 7.5. Yeah.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, I agree with what some of Chris was saying. It's kind of this sense of winking at the screen and self-congratulatory tone.
Yeah,
the fan service.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah, like it reminds me of a certain brand of movies. I guess I shouldn't even say on a podcast, but and I guess the big takeaway for this one, that scene really hurt the episode for me.
Which the beginning?
Yeah. That wouldn't help.
The plan.
The plan. Okay, yeah, the plan.
Sorry. God, because there were good scenes. There were. I think the burning of the Tarleys was powerful, but like, they could have ended up doing that, and they could that scene convinced me of absolutely nothing. When they were done with that scene, I was taken out completely. Like, I thought that this is completely absurd. But as Mark said, we're rating against the all television.
Yes.
There's some pretty bad television, so I am a little conflicted. But I think 7.5 is too high, so getting between a 5 and a 6. There's some bad television, so I'll give it a 6.
Okay. I think that's fair. As I said, there are some things in this scene that are in this episode that are good. There are scenes that I liked. That said, I think that the cohesive whole just is not fit together very well. And I think that there are some real fundamental problems. And I think that on another, like, kind of at a certain point, like, the problems that I've been seeing throughout this season, last episode kind of aside, are just kind of piling up to this point where I'm just not as happy as I should be. Yes, this is still very entertaining. This is still, better than average television. This season has definitely been, overall, I would still say this season has been good. But I just think that we're heading in this direction for let's just have crazy epic moments and then kind of not focus on anything else. And I think that's just very much against what Game of Thrones actually is. And this season for me has at times felt a little bit like Game of Thrones, what everyone thinks Game of Thrones is, as opposed to what Game of Thrones actually is. And the difference being there that I think a lot of people think of Game of Thrones as crazy epic moments, as let's kill lots of characters and let's go literally to the extreme at all moments, when in reality for me Game of Thrones is a story about characters and how characters act in at times very predictable ways, but those ways are so natural, and natural is against what normal television is like, and that pushes things in a different direction. And for me, this has felt a little bit more, let's have Jaime charge at Dany because it's a really cool looking scene, but let's not think through the actual implications of that and ignore it. So as a result, I'm going to be, about as negative as I think I've been on this podcast, and I'm going to give this episode a 5.8 out of 10. I think that it's above average, but I don't think it's that much above average.
What would you call an average TV show? What's
to me, to be honest, I'm going to say average. To be honest, I would call a good episode of How I Met Your Mother average.
Okay. All right, fine. Do you think? So I was wondering when you were saying that. Do you think that this whole we know what's going to happen? We're anticipating Game of Thrones for what Game of Thrones is going to be. Do you think that's kind of that's happening because this series got so popular that every single possible outcome has been thought of and articles been written on BuzzFeed over? Because I feel like I've had that issue before just by reading the Song of Ice and Fire subreddit before it got popular, but now it's just
I think that's more partially true, where people are very this show has been dissected and this story has been dissected so much that we all the fact that R plus L was J, which probably could have been this crazy oh my god moment, which for a lot of viewers it wasn't it was all oh my god, it was confirmed, holy shit, I didn't see that coming.
I'm waiting for moments to be confirmed that I think are going to happen rather than being surprised, if that makes sense.
But at the same time, I think part of that is because Game of Thrones has followed this very consistent logic where things play out as you would expect them to play out. If you were to kind of take away emotion and be okay, if Rob dishonors Walder Frey and then went back and asked him for his army a second time, wouldn't you believe that would cause serious problems? Maybe not exactly how it plays out, but you'd be pretty confident in saying Walder Frey would have had a serious problem with that and would have taken serious offense to that. And I think that to some degree, Game of Thrones has played out in the ways that you would expect them to. It's just not the way television usually expects.
Yeah, because what it is George R. R. Martin always goes against tropes. That's his whole thing. But now that we're expecting him to go against tropes, it's kind of a whole. But I
would agree that I think that at this point in the story, they have written themselves into a little bit of a hole where it's we know Jaime's going to kill Cersei, so obviously until that happens, Jaime can't die, and that kind of takes away from okay, we can't have a character moment for Jaime him charging at Dany, which I think would have been a really great place to end Jaime's story. I think that that would have been a powerful way to end this, but they couldn't because we know Jaime has to do this.
Could you imagine if Jaime killed her?
Dany?
Oh my god,
yeah.
The world would explode.
The reaction.
Just 7 seasons of build-up and she dies in the first battle. Oh my god.
That would have been a level of drama.
It would have thrown everything we thought out the window.
That's a very George R. R. Martin thing.
That would be George R. R. Martin as hell.
No, it's not.
I thought someone was going to die there. I thought a main character was going to die for sure. I didn't know who.
I disagree with the whole that's George R. R. Martin because I don't think he actually kills characters at random moments. I think he kills them at the time that makes the most narrative sense to kill them.
She wasn't exactly acting smart in that battle, but
Yeah.
Well, at that point, she was a mother concerned about her children.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I do feel like the big thing I feel like is that George R. R. Martin isn't. They don't have a book to go off of, so that when they're writing alone, they're like, shit. This is difficult.
George R. R. Martin, though, he also is probably struggling to resolve this because this is definitely a series that is not easy to resolve.
He kind of.
He wrote himself into some holes, clearly.
Yeah, for sure.
The series thrives in the intrigue in the middle. It doesn't lend itself to being because it's different.
He said himself that the way he writes isn't like he doesn't like put every single thing in order and like write through a skeleton. He kind of organically writes a story. So like, you know, he like I think the way he describes it is he grows a garden of a story. I think it's now like weeds over his house.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, Wagon Half-Life 3 has been confirmed because of this podcast. You're welcome.
It was.
You're welcome, Internet.
This podcast did that.
But I'm confident we're going to get at least one more fantastic episode out of this season.
Oh, I as much as I was negative in this episode, I think that we're in a good place going to the next two episodes because I think that the final two episodes are usually the ones I kind of assume are going to be paced really fast and things are just going to happen quickly. We'll see. I hope things, I hope certain things are moving in the right direction. And I do hope that things get better.
Yeah.
I want an ice dragon. That's all I want. Someone.
Yeah.
All right. I think it'll be you think the Giants will shoot down with their arrows Viserion? Seems like
How
a good
big are the
bet to
arrows
me.
that Giants have? Do you think they have like
Remember, because
They're
they've
not
introduced
as big as
this,
big crossbow.
but because remember the Battle of the Wall? I forget what that episode was called.
Yeah, they did have the thing.
It literally ripped off the ramparts off the top of the wall.
Yeah.
So they're pretty good.
Wait, can zombies still figure out how to use siege weapons?
Why not?
Well,
I don't know. They don't.
I don't know. I mean, they can swing weapons. Arrow's a little more complicated. It's just a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Really big one.
Yeah, I can see it. I don't know when, but it might happen. Because
Mhm.
the dragons aren't there yet.
Yeah.
What if?
All right.
What if?
Yep.
Sorry. What if
No, go
during
ahead.
the fight it's going terrible, and then like Danny shows up the dragons?
And then they die. They all die.
Well, at least one of them dies.
What do you think happens if
Or
season
just- or just
8
Rhaegal.
if season 8 was never going to happen and literally this is the last season and they were just lying to us?
Oh my god.
I read a funny comment on Reddit. You know how they tried bringing a white hand down to the south before rotted by the time they got there.
Yeah.
So it's just the way the whites animate and unanimate. They bring a white to King's Landing, and it does nothing. And then when everyone's gone, it stands up, puts on a top hat, and starts singing.
Yeah.
I gotta find that comment.
Or wait a minute, hold on. This is a joke, but on a serious note, what if they bring a white back and then the white comes back to life and starts murdering people, and we get a whites inside the walls?
The white out.
But the thing is, it's not like a traditional zombie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you need a White Walker.
You need a walker to animate them.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
So one more. Just
Yeah,
on
one
that.
more stupid.
Exactly.
Sorry, very important.
The white hand rotted, so they need the cold maybe to survive, to keep their army alive.
Yeah. You got to put it in an ice box.
Oh, what if they get into the south and the ice zombies start to melt?
Exactly. It starts rotting basically.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Silly things.
No, what's gonna happen is John's gonna get in trouble,
more.
and then Rhaegal's gonna come save him because Rhaegal's just gonna know. Because Rhaegal was like, "Oh, my son, yeah."
I'd hope so, but we might just see more Drogon.
Yeah, because CG budget,
Yeah.
They only rented one dragon, not two.
It's like how Ghost is gone. That's where Ghost went.
Ghost is actually a ghost.
Ghost has been
real
absorbed into Drogon.
Yeah. All right. Are we out?
Yes, we are. So with that, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being on the panel. I really appreciate it. Quick bit of housekeeping for anyone who is paying attention, but we will probably be having a special Fonts from Wu episode this week on The Legend of Korra Turf Wars Part 1 that came out that I thought was really interesting, and I have a lot of thoughts to share on that. So take a look for that. At some point, there'll be a Hearthstone set review, but I don't know when that's going to happen. Cory's really pissed at me about that. But as per usual, you can follow us on Twitter. The Twitters are somewhere around. Check out our website, some cool stuff on there. I've been trying to tweet a little bit more to spice things up. So I will see you guys next week for the Crossroads Inn on Monday. Hopefully we'll be back at our normal recording time. But as always, you can check out the VODs on YouTube. Thank you to Chris for handling the production. We appreciate
guess
that.
what? I didn't drop 1,000 frames.
That's awesome.
I dropped 194 over an hour and a half, so we're okay.
That's all right.
Maybe I could stream StarCraft this week. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to remember to upload this one. I forgot last week for like 2 days.
It's all right. And with that, we will see you guys soon.
Peace.